Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I'll be on here in maybe 2 minutes. I'm making some hot apple cider for this morning, and as soon as it's done, I'll be turning the camera on. All right, I'll see you then. table, get it out of the way. Set this boom arm so you can hear me. Alright guys, how's everybody doing this morning? You guys doing alright? I had a few things I had to do this morning. That's why I'm starting just a little bit behind the curveball. That's okay. As you can see, I've got some 15mm Roman Triarii right here. And I also have some bases. We're gonna base them up. But I also have, I don't know, it's off camera. I also have some 15mm buildings from Sarissa, and I have some 10mm buildings from Warbase that I haven't finished putting them together. Put one together. I think I did that either last Wednesday or the Wednesday before. Ooh, that's too hot. Okay, steam in my glasses. Yeah, I'm moving super slow today. Apologize for my tiredness. We're gonna do 8 bases, I do believe. All right. And these are Litco 1.5mm thick. It says 1.6, but I think on the website it's 1.5. But either way, 1.5, 1.6, it's neither here nor there. They're 40 by 15s. And let me see if I can't fix or adjust my camera. Okay. Yeah, everything looks kind of good there. Okay. Looks kind of fuzzy though, I don't know. And this is supposed to be my best camera. Okay. So I've got some huge news. Well, it's huge for me. It might not be huge for you guys. But I'm going to build to it towards the end. But it has something to do with Napoleonics, my Napoleonic rule set. And which one I've chosen to use. Spoiler alert, all of them. Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a bit. I'm hoping this cools off enough for me to take a sip, because I'm parched. It's warmed up a little bit today too, so I'm going to be able to take some stuff outside and prime it. So I'm probably going to be doing a lot of priming today, even after the video. I've got to commission a bunch of World War II stuff, and I haven't started because I haven't been able to take anything outside and prime because the weather has been so bad. But once I get primed and once they dry, of course, then I can bring them in and I can crank them out. You know, like you do. So ordered these Hawaiian Punch drinks off of Amazon. They said they were 10 ounces, right? And I was thinking, okay, that's just shy of a soda can, right? A soda can's like 12 ounces or whatever. So this is just shy of that. So I said, okay, let me order it, and I'm going to get like 24 bottles, you know? And I was like, okay, that sounds reasonable. I got this bottle in, right? It's beautiful. It tastes great. I love Hawaiian Punch. It's probably one of my favorite drinks. But look, to me, this is super small. It fits in the palm of my hand. I take 2 swigs off of that, and it's gone. Oh my gosh. Well, that's why I get 24 of them, I guess, right? Got to drink 2 at a time. Okay, now I'm having a hard time drinking that. It is burning my chest. Okay, let's not work on that just yet. Alrighty, let's get these bases out of the way. Let's put my modeling glasses on. And, well, what I was thinking of doing was taking these out and priming them. Yeah, we'll do that. I'm going to take these outside. Not these. I'm gonna hold off on doing these. I'm gonna do a couple of the 15s, if not all of them. Okay, so 50 C. Oh, okay. Whew, there's 2 of them. I pulled one of these out like this. I read this and I said, "There's the number," and then I flipped it over and the board has a different code. It's because there's 2 of them there. Okay, so I'm going to prime the entire thing gray, right? Just the entire thing is going to get primed gray. And then I'm going to pop the chimneys off, take them away. And then pop the roofs off, prime them probably red. And then the body of the work. I don't know if these are supposed to be wood. It's like a wood cabin. I think they are. Yeah, they're all wood cabins, but they are just slightly different. Each one's just slightly different. And this is the bridge, which is definitely supposed to be wood. Now, I didn't know this about the bridge, but I'm really kind of happy about that. You build the same bridge that I already have. I've got a 28mm version of this, but it comes with a roof that slides on and off. It's a lift-off cover. I think that's extremely cool. And I got a church and a 2-story planked house. Yeah, that looks wooden. These pieces look like they go inside. to form the windows and the windowsills and stuff. I don't think I popped each of those out. Maybe I am supposed to pop each of those out. It's going to be a problem. Maybe and if these are chimneys, but they look like they're covered in stucco or something, so. And the church looks like it's made of wood as well. Okay. Maybe I should just prime brown. But that's not true. I'm going to prime gray because I know a lot of this wood likes to soak up paint. So what we'll do is we'll prime gray first, and then I'll spray wood on the top of it. I say wood, but I mean like a light brown. And then I can go back over it and dry brush it or whatever I need to do. These are all so simple, just looking at them, that I don't need any instructions. Even though they do come with instructions, and that's good. But these basically only have a floor, 4 walls, and a roof, and a chimney. So they should be fairly easy, even though I will keep these to the side just in case, you know, as they say. So on these Romans, right, I just washed them last night, so finished them last night. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to stick this somewhere else where it's less funky. There we go. Yeah, so I finished them last night, and it took me all day. Well, I'm not going to say all day. It probably took me about 8 hours to cut these decals out, because I don't know if you can see this, but every Roman there's got a every Roman's got a decal. I adjusted the focus of the camera so that it wouldn't focus up here. It's kind of blurry, so but it's focused down here, so I might fix that so I can show you some up closes. But every one of the shields has a decal from Little Big Men. You know, the peel and stick, and then wet the back, but the problem with the peel and stick is you've got to cut the decal out, and it's got to fit to your shield. Because their decals are the entire sheet, and so you basically have to cut them down to the size of the shield that you want to affix them to. And so I broke up my scissors and I went to town cutting them all out. And then I took out my X-Acto knife and cut out the inside of the shields, because there's a rib that runs down the center of these Republican Roman shields that the decal is basically a 2-piece decal, a left and a right side. So it's really like double the decals, and once you half the size of the decal, because you're splitting it in half, it becomes really hard to manipulate in your fingers. So it was a challenge, but it wasn't hard. It was just time consuming. Okay. Okay, now the church might need, really? The church is still easy too. And then the two-story building. These are all American War of Independence buildings for my American War of Independence Wargaming. But I'm the kind of guy, and I'm going to have to admit this on camera, I'm the kind of guy that if I've got a building that's probably pretty close to the one it's supposed to be, like an American colonial, I still might use it in my Napoleonic games. You know, I might just put it on the table. Or I might not. Okay, it's still hot. It's still way too hot, actually. Okay. Let me... I have a number of these 12 by 12 palettes, or painting palettes, basically. We'll call it that. Okay. So I'll be able to put one on this. Now some of the smaller ones, hopefully I'll be able to get 2 or 3 on a sheet. You know, I might assemble this one first and then prime it. Or maybe not even prime it, because I like the MDF wood look. Or I might prime it twice. Or let me back that up. I might prime it now, assemble it, and then spray it brown. Is that the roof? Well, it looks like it's the roof. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, that's another gray primer. And really, the gray primer is not going to have anything to do with the color of the building. It's just to prevent my... It'll basically... okay, 2 of them fit on that board. It'll soak into the wood and seal it and make it so that it accepts other paint. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Okay, it's going to be a little overhang on that. Maybe I've got another one. I could just whip another one out. Okay. I've got like a dozen of these. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, off camera, I'm going to go prime these and I'll be right back.
You haven't even had breakfast.
You haven't?
No, been in class.
Yeah. All right, that's one down. last one. Okay, I am back from priming every single one of those gray. All right. So while that dries, we'll work on these, on basing these. So I'm trying to multitask. What do we got over here? We got, oh man, I can't read the screen with my work glasses. Okay, there's my reading glasses. Here, let's see what it says. Okay, I can't read any of that. That's just letters on the screen. I don't know what any of that means, but I'm assuming you're saying hello and how are you doing? Well, that's what I'm saying to you. I'm saying hello and how are you doing? Okay. Yeah. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm peeling. Actually, I'm eating a Pop-Tart is what I'm doing. But on these popsicle sticks, I have these little boxes there, you can see, which is 3M double-sided foam tape. I stick it on the popsicle stick, and then I take my miniature and I stick it on the 3M foam tape. And then when I paint them, and then when I'm ready to take them off, I just peel them off. I do that for all my miniatures that I plan to glue onto a movement stand. Hail Caesar, Black Powder, Meg, Sword Point, anything like that. If you're going to take figures, I used to use Elmer's glue, put a little drop of Elmer's glue on a popsicle stick, and then drop, okay, that whole thing came off with it, and then put the figure in there, and then let it dry, and then paint, and then peel it off, and it became a whole thing, you know. That's the way I used to do it. I used to do it that way for years and years and years. And then I saw someone doing 3M tape, and I was like, I wonder if that would save me any time. Yes, it saves me a ton of time. There's no dry time. It actually saves me more than dry time. I think I talked about this in previous videos, but the what Elmer's does is it leaves a little residue on the popsicle stick. Actually, quite a bit of residue on the popsicle stick. And so if you want to continue to keep using the same popsicle stick, you have to clean it. You have to trim the Elmer's off and then reuse it. And that trimming time took forever. So more importantly, it saves me trimming time. Because on the figures, I just have to peel off the tape. And I thought about this. Is it more expensive? $1 per figure, yes. Might be double, you know. So instead of like 1 cent, it might be 2 cents. But then I weighed as a professional miniature painter for like commissions and for sale in my store. I weighed the time saved versus the additional cost, because I base, well, time is money, and I basically have a dollar value in my head per hour of work. And yeah, it saved more money than it cost. And it's less headache. So now if I was doing this for a one-time project, just painting one set of miniatures, the old process would probably be good. But I need to paint over and over and over and over. And I instead of buying new popsicle sticks every time, or cleaning them every time, you know, I'm trying to paint an army here, and you know, not just a unit. Okay, speaking of which, I'm basing these guys up for my Meg army, right? Mortem et Gloriam. And I got those rules in like 2 days ago. I started reading through them. So far, I'm going to have to admit, it's very easy reading. I mean, you've read things and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get myself through this. Like, I'm not talking about comprehensibility or understanding. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about enjoyment of reading. I'm talking about being able to sit down read these rules, understand them, and walk away with a smile. And these rules do that for me. I mean, so I've only read about 40 pages or something like that. I haven't really read a ton, but so far what I have read, I've really enjoyed. I think he's done a really good job. Now, I didn't know he was in South Africa. That's cool. The game designer, that is. And I also didn't know that he also worked on some materials assisting with the Field of Glory rules. That's probably why I see a little bit of similarities between Meg and Field of Glory. But I thought it was just because it's all from the same genre. I got the dice in. They're still in their package. I haven't opened them because I felt like no need to open up a dice bag and take a look at them. But I also have cards on the way. I could have ordered a box set, which would come with the dice and the cards, and some measuring sticks, I do believe, and the rules, but I didn't. I didn't feel a need because I think I'm going to make my own measuring sticks. And I got the rule book locally, so I don't need to go back and order the box set. So I figured I'll just from Plastic Soldier directly, I ordered the dice and the cards. No, the dice I got locally as well. So maybe it was just the cards. I went online, looked at all their army lists, which they have a lot of them. They claim to have over 650 army lists. That's not true. They have something like 200 army lists, but they have 3 of each. They have a Pacto, a Magna, and a Maximus. So, but still, 200 army lists, still quite a bit. It might be 250. And they just released some 100 Years War army lists, so it might even be higher than that nowadays. Okay, now on my Litgo bases, sometimes there's a dirty side, and then sometimes there's a side with burn marks, and then a side that is completely without burn marks. So I turn the burn mark one up, leaving the other side down. I can write on this, and basically it'll be a clean slate. And then I'm going to glue and flock and everything else on this side of the base, so there's no reason why I care about the little burn marks. I know I think that's my what do they call it? Impulsive compulsiveness. This is in the way, but I didn't want to put it under the camera because I'm anal that way. Apparently I'm anal in a lot of ways. There, now it's not in the way. Okay, so a couple of these models, like this model here and this model here, are actually Zeiston models. So is this guy. This Lectern is a Zeiston. Yeah, I think this musician is so basically the whole command element over there is Zeiston, where this guy's a Zeiston, and I think this guy's an Old Glory, the standard bearer. So, but everybody else is Old Glory. I bought some Zeiston because I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. Got it in, and I'm like, okay, they got really good detail on them, but are they worth paying $1 a figure? Just under $1 a figure, probably like 75 cents, 85 cents, something like that. And my answer is no. If they have a unique model or a unique figure that you can't get from other manufacturers, then yeah. Or if you just like their poses or whatever, then yeah. But comparing like my Zeiston to my Old Glory, I don't. They're a little different, but they're not different enough, if that makes sense. Okay, how do I want to do this? Do I want to put, I don't want to put the musician and the standard with the general or the officer. So I'm going to put the officer 2 steps in. On one base. And he's holding his shield out like this, super far. So he's going to stick way out from the base. That's okay. But I am going to put the standard with him. Okay. And I'll put the musician on a base that would be right behind him. Okay. Now I've got to figure out how I'm going to get these Triarii on these bases. I'm going to push them back a little bit so their shield doesn't overhang the front. And that way, when I rank them up, they'll fit together really good. Now, I haven't gone through these guys and did any highlighting. I can highlight after they're on the base. Mainly just to clean some of the shield up. Do like a blend of some lighter yellow on there. Mainly just to clean up the wash. It kind of gives it a dirty look. And there's nothing wrong with a dirty look. But I just don't want it to look like that. So that's really just a personal preference. But mainly I'll do like the spear tip, and to really bring out the metallic shine, and maybe their feathers as well. It's really all I'm going to do on the highlighting. Okay, some of these guys have got their shield to the front, and some of them got their shield to the side. It gives, and I'm putting them on randomly right now. It gives a, it does, to me, that doesn't, I don't know how to say it. You would think that all the Romans would be walking in lockstep, you know? If they got their shield forward, they got their shield forward. If they got their shield to the back, they got their shield to the back. But then again, I like the fact that it makes it look like there's motion. Because if everybody looked exactly the same, it would look like a static model. But because the guys are in different poses, it gives the base life. Okay. If that makes any sense to you guys. I'm sure it does. I'm sure you guys understand that completely. Okay. So we got these Smokin' Joes. And that right there is a Roman unit. Yeah. All right. These are Triarii. And you only have one per division, right? So in the, well, I call it a division, but it could be considered a legion, a cohort, or whatever scale you're playing at. But I have 2 Principes, 2 Hastati, and 1 Triarii in each of my 3 divisions. So this is in one, this is in another. And that's why their shields are different. So the Principes and the Hastati, for each of these units, what I was thinking was I would give them the same shields as these guys so that you could tell they were all from the same division. But I found that I only have 16 of each of these colors left. That would include 1 unit, but then the last unit would not have any decals. So I considered just doing the front rank of each unit with the decals, and the back rank not, just coloring them. Like in this case, it would just be red, you know. Okay, let's do the same thing. Musician in the second rank. With a Triarii to his left, or his right, my left. Push back. Alright, now this Zeiston officer also has a spear. That one has a sword. This one has a spear as well. So I guess I could have used that officer for either the Hastati or the Principe. But I said to myself, it'll just make them look different. Okay, I'm going to have to figure this out here. Oh, okay. The glue's all around. I was afraid the glue wasn't going to be all around the base of the troop. But it is. Okay, now this is a Zeiston model, but I went ahead and used an Old Glory decal. You know, they say decals designed to be used with, etc. Well, it's supposed to be used with Old Glory, and the shields are definitely different. Yeah, that was... And these shields came separately. You had to glue them on. So it became more challenging. I had to prime and paint this shield separately because I knew I was going to put a decal on it, and I didn't want to have a shield glued onto a miniature when I'm applying the decals. Because when I apply decals, especially little bigmans, you have to apply a little pressure. You got to push on the decal a little bit. You got to get it to stick. Not only do you have to get it to stick, but when you are dabbing off any of the water that might be remaining from removing the paper, you got to press to make sure you get all the water bubbles out, and also to make sure that you you got to get all the water bubbles out, and to get it to conform to the shape of whatever you're gluing it onto. In this case, shields. I say gluing, but you know what I mean. And I don't want to do that with when the shield is glued onto the model, because I might just pop it right off. I might just break it off of the model. Now in this case, I moved the lectern over to a third base. because the musician and the lectern, I didn't want them both to be on the same base, and I didn't want them both to be in the front rank. One of the reasons why I put them on a different base was to allow for more shields and spearmen, traditional legionary types, to be on those bases. Because if you put too many command figures on one base, then it would look like a non-fighting base, if that makes sense. I wanted all my bases to look threatening. Because in this game, you actually lose bases. You know, as you fight, bases are lost. Okay, that spear might need a touch of glue. We'll do that now before I glue him down to his base. Because the spear just seemed to be a little wobbly. With a little effort, I could just peel it right off. Now these are wires about the thickness of a paperclip. And if you had a bunch of paper clips, you straightened them out and you cut them down to size, you could probably use them. Just thought about that. Okay. You piece of Roman spear garbage. Oh, I hear the postman. Doesn't want to get back in his hand. That's the problem. See, it doesn't want to snap back in there. There is something preventing it. It's this paint. Okay. Okay, there we go. Got that guy in there. Starting to have doubts. Doubting my ability there for a second. All right. So yes, you're not the only one that struggles with little pieces. I am too. Okay. Let's talk about rules. Meg is my go-to ancients right now. I'm 100% on the Meg train. I like the looks of the rules. I like the feel. of the rules. Simple. I haven't read the whole thing yet, but what I've read so far seems to be laid out pretty straightforward, pretty simple to understand, and etc., and fun to read. Okay, well, those are gonna have to dry for a while before I start. I'm not gonna apply any basing material to them because I still want to do some highlights to their weapons and to their. So I'm gonna get this out, put that right there, just as a reminder to me that I want to do some highlights. Sometimes I'll forget, and then I'll just start doing something and then go, oh yeah, damn, I wanted to do some highlights. Yeah, so Meg is definitely going to be my go-to for Ancients right now. And this is me cleaning up these popsicle sticks, peeling the extra 3M tape off of there. You get 3M tape in like 100 yards or whatever it is. I don't know. I could be exaggerating. But even if it comes as like a 5-yard roll, how much did I use here? You know what I'm saying? I used like 12 inches for that entire unit. Maybe not even 12 inches, but it seems like about 12 inches. No, more like 6 inches actually. Oh yeah, because I split it in half. Because I got it in a 3/4 inch wide, but I don't need 3/4 inch wide pieces. So I just take it, and once I lay it on here, and then I cut it into strips, and then I just went and split it down the middle. What did that do? It allowed me to double it up. No wastage. And these are only like 10 centimeter by 10 centimeter squares. This is also allowing the gray outside the gray primer to dry. Yeah, okay, other rule sets. I didn't realize that Battle Group had been out for like 7 or 8 years. I didn't realize it's been out that long. I just recently came into contact with it, you know, so I feel like I've been out of touch.
No, I was using the dustpan.
Oh, okay.
And I used to play a game like Flames of War, and then I tried Flames of War, didn't really like it, and then I saw this Battle Group and got excited about it, and so I decided I was going to start watching some other people's opinion videos, and a lot of them are people that used to play Flames of War but now play Battle Group. And I was like, if they used to play Flames of War, are they really a good source of information or opinion because I didn't like Flames of War. And if they did, then we're kind of like not on the same wavelength. But apparently, they also didn't like Flames of War, or they would never have switched to Battle Group, right? So I'm hoping, and I also watched some videos where people explain different rules and stuff like that. So hopefully I got that on order. That should be coming in with those cards I mentioned from Meg. When that all comes in, and it's already been shipped, I've got, I don't remember if I told you this, but I put a pretty good sizable order in from Plastic Soldier Company. And on their website, they've got this shipping method called Caesar, right? I think that's just their way of, it's what they call it. I don't think it's actually shipped by a carrier called Caesar. And it's cheap. And so what I thought it was more like media mail, or, and that's probably what it is. It's probably media mail. I just thought it was like bulk rate shipping, something cheaper. And so I picked it. And then I got an email saying, we can't ship your product because you chose this shipping method. Do you want to go ahead and then they said that what the shipping method would cost. So instead of 22 pounds, it was like 50 pounds. And I was like, just for shipping? No way. Are you crazy? And so, so I told them to cancel it. And I just got my refund today. So, but then I went back in and placed a smaller order with much less shipping, and decided not to choose Caesar. I chose the other method. So, yeah, so we'll see how long that takes to get here. Okay, what else? Let's just go ahead and talk about this. Napoleonics. I got some big news about my Napoleonic rule set. Some huge news. Some massive news.
Amazon just dropped off a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm getting a package today.
You got stuff coming?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we got some packages outside. Give me like 2 minutes. I'm going to go grab these packages.
No, this one's for you. Yeah, this one's for you. Oh,
This is my only one?
that one, yeah.
Okay. Nothing super exciting came in.
Get in here and reorganize all that stuff.
Gathering my thoughts. All right, so Napoleonics. Let's talk. Let me bring this up a little closer so that it doesn't sound like I'm whispering. If you use scissors, it would be faster.
Where's your scissors?
Right there. No, just chop it. Just cut it.
Cut what?
Just go chop, 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 chop down the whole thing.
Like through the middle?
Yeah, well, you can just cut it at an angle. You'd be done by now if you just chopped.
A giant box for two little things.
Yeah. All right. Got a little activity here in the house. Okay, so Napoleonics, right? I played a lot of different rule sets. Not happy with any of them. Played Napoleon's battles. I even remember now when I was kind of going through my sieve of a brain. I played Shaco. I remember that now. Shaco 2 or something, and then I played Eagles, Empire, System 7, Black Powder, Age of Eagles, Fire and Fury, Field of Glory, Napoleonics. Sword and Steel or something like that. I can't remember that set of rules. Chef de Battalion. I haven't played Chef de Army, but Chef de Battalion. Basically, let me just say, I played a lot of these different rule sets, and every one of them fell short. They were either extremely fast-paced, but then they lacked a little detail. They lacked the nuance of the game, like Shaco. Or they were disconnected from the units, like Napoleon's Battles, Age of Eagles. Those were strategic level games, looking down. Or Black Powder, was focused in closely to the battalion, where you got battalion formations and stuff like that. And every one of these rule sets does something different, and they do it well. They do what they do well because that's their designer. Their game designer had a theory or a concept that this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to make combat fast, or they wanted to make the ability to play entire battles, or they wanted details. They want to know how many rounds a man is carrying. They just thinking of Land of the Free, you have to use an action to reload. Is that really something you need? No, but when you get down to that detail, that level of fighting, when you're fighting at the company level, yeah, maybe you do. Maybe you're almost role-playing. So yeah, so it worked for that set of rules. So then I put all of this in my head, right? I got all this swirling around inside my head. And I'm specifically thinking about, my mind is specifically thinking about Waterloo. But I don't want to play a disconnected game of Waterloo. I want the game to be connected, like where the player can move battalions around, but still make it strategic, right? And so I've decided, I made this decision like maybe 2 days ago. I've been holding this news for you guys because I think my last project update was like on a Sunday. I think that's when it was. And then after that, I've been putting a lot of thought into this. A lot of thought into this. I'm going to write my own rules. You heard it here first, guys. Not put it out anywhere. What I'm going to do, and I'm going to have to admit this, I can't, it's like when you see something, you can't unsee it, right? Well, I can't unplay, or I can't unlearn all of these rules. I have a feeling that I am going to cherry pick rules or concepts or ideas, theories, processes from each of these rule sets that I like, and I'm going to combine it into a game that I want to play. I'm going to design a Napoleonics game that I want to play. I'm not going to force myself to play someone else's set of rules if it's not what I want to play. Black Powder's got some really good ideas. Napoleon's Battles got some really good ideas. Meg even has some good ideas. Field of Glory had some good ideas. A lot of these companies have really good ideas. Even Bolt Action. Bolt Action's got the way the command works. I kind of like drawing chits. I kind of do. But we're not going to do it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with scale, right? I'm going to try to decide, okay, how big or what do I want to, what have we got? JJ, what are you saying? What's happening? Rules are made to be broken. Hey, you know it. Exactly right. Yeah, thanks for that encouragement there, JJ. I've got a general idea of how I want to do this. I'm not nothing set in solid stone yet because I got to put it all together. I want to get some of my friends together. We'll play test it. We'll see if it actually works, and then maybe I'll think about publishing it. I mean, it's a possibility, but that's not really why I'm designing it. I'm designing it for myself. I might put it up in a PDF form or maybe a Word document or something, where Google Doc or something where anybody can go access it and play it. But I also might publish it, you know, if it's well received, or if I like it a lot, or if my friends like it a lot. Maybe it'll be something that we can share with the community or whatever. I don't know. But scale, this is what I've been thinking. ESR, right? Et sans resultans has really sparked this renaissance in my mind, in my head. I don't like the ESR rules. I'm going to tell you right now, it has a level of disconnect that is greater than Napoleon's battles. I don't want that. I don't want a level of disconnect. When I say disconnect, I mean if I'm the army commander and I'm moving brigades around the table. With ESR, you're the army commander and you're not moving anything around the table. They pretty much move on their own. And so you give them orders and you sit back and let it happen. And that's not exactly the rules, but that's not even close to the rules. But it's what it makes me feel like. But on the general idea of it is you're physically on the table moving battalions around, just like black powder, right? You're moving a battalion around. Or chef, right? You're moving battalions around. In black powder, your battalions are composed of a bunch of different bases. And the reason, just like these units here on the table are, the reason why they do it that way is so that you as the player can position these bases in the battalion in a way that differentiates different formations. JJ, that is correct. Yes, I am going to write my own set of Napoleonic rules. And so that's why they do that. They have, as an example, like you'll have a British, 95th Rifles or whatever with 6 bases. And if you want them in column, you put them in column. If you want them in line, you put them in line. If you want them in a 4-rank deep line, you put them in a 4-rank deep line. That's excellent if you're playing at that scale of a game. But I'm trying to step back away from the division core level or division. Okay, let me tell you a little philosophy I have. I have this philosophy, and I agree with it because it makes a lot of sense. Patton, we all know who he is. He once said, and he was a good commander, right? You probably agree. Some of you don't. And Patton even thinks that he was like Alexander or Napoleon reincarnated or whatever. But we'll not get into any of that. But Patton had Napoleonic strategies and he had ancient strategies. They were all in his head. Okay. But he made his comment or this statement. As a commander, right? And I'm taking that and saying player or someone in charge of a side at a table. As a commander, you give orders one level below you. So if you are a division commander, you give orders to regiments. Okay, now we're talking World War II. So as a division commander, you give orders to regiments, and then those regimental commanders give orders to their battalions, and then the battalion commanders give orders to their companies, and those companies give orders to their platoons, and then the platoons give orders to their squads. The squads give orders to their individual men. Okay, it works like that. But as the table commander, you're only giving orders one level below. So if you got a corps versus a corps, you're taking on the role of a corps commander. You only give orders to your divisions. Okay. Now the second half of that statement is from Patton. You issue orders one level below, but you need to know where the units 2 levels below are located. So, as a corps commander, you issue your orders to your divisions, but you need to know where your regiments are located, or brigades, right? I'm using Napoleonic French terms. So, your corps commander issues orders to the divisions, but he still needs to know where his brigades are. And you should not concern yourself with anything smaller than that. Well, I'm going to take it one step below. I'm going to take it one step lower. I'm going to go 3 levels, just because I think it works well on a table. If you are a corps commander, you issue orders to your divisions, who in turn control their brigades, but you need to know where those battalions are on the table. So, but do I need to know what the battalion is doing? No. Do I need to know? Because that's the battalion commander's job. The battalion's commander's job is to make sure he's in line, or to make sure he's in column or attack column, or make sure if he's deployed skirmishers, or if he's got, if he's defending his flank, or so the general concept here is you're not playing the battalion commander like in Black Powder. In Black Powder, you are the battalion commander because you, as the player, put the battalion in different formations. You decide if you're putting skirmishers out. You are too zoomed in to that battalion. I want to take that zoom out a level, maybe 2 levels, but at least out 1 level. I don't want to be the guy that has to put him in line formation, or put him in deploy skirmishers or put them in column. So I'm going to have a single base, maybe with 24 models on the base, just some huge amount of numbers of figures on a base. And that base is going to represent the battalion. Okay. And have some way, I haven't figured this out exactly yet, but have some way for the quality of the battalion, the nationality of the battalion, the equipment they're equipped with, and all that stuff roll into modifiers. Maybe one battalion's commander is better than another battalion's commanders. Maybe that modifies something. But what I'm saying is the battalion will have modifiers to die rolls, and it has nothing to do with you as a player micromanaging that battalion, putting it in formations. All you need to know as a supreme commander is, where is that battalion on the table? That's what you need to know. So what does that allow you to do? It allows you to put your battalions side by side. It allows you to put them in column. It allows you to put them in like a 2-rank formation. It basically allows you to act as the brigade commander in forming your battalions on the table. Now, this differs from Napoleon's battles, because Napoleon's battles, each base did represent a battalion, but they did not operate disconnected. They were always 100%, 110%, always in a brigade formation, touching. You had to be all your battalions in a line. You had to have all your battalions either in like an attack column or a march column, and that was Napoleon's battles. Okay. Napoleon's battles is a good set of rules. I like it. But I also want to be able to have each battalion represented separately on this table, but I like the concept that they operate as a brigade. Okay, so if as a corps commander, if I want to have my brigade set up in a line, I could just maneuver my battalions in a way that allows them all to be in a line. Now, some might be like this, some might be like this, or like that, or whatever. Napoleon's battles, that doesn't happen. They're always like this. This also allows for brigade guns. So now I can model and I can deploy, or division guns even. I can model and deploy a division gun, and I can have it sitting between 2 battalions or whatever. Can't do that in Napoleon's battles. In Napoleon's battles, you have your brigade, and then you put your gun at the end. And then each battalion, now this is another thing. Each battalion would shoot independently. Instead of taking a brigade and saying this brigade has a fire value, and then we're going to fire at that brigade. So now I'm picking off individual battalions with my battalions. So I have to work that out. I don't know if I want to do individual battalions, or like in one game you would pick a target and then you would designate all the guys that are shooting at that target, and then those would all combine into a fire value. I think this is Fire Fury. They would combine into a fire value, and then you would shoot at that target and see what the results were. So it was better to like split your fire, like this battalion shoot at this battalion, this battalion shoot at this battalion, this battalion shoot at this battalion, instead of doing withering fire at one battalion. But that was the player's choice to do that, and I like giving players decisions to make. Right. Another thing is I want it to be an opposed roll, or I want the receiving player, both in melee and in shooting, both players need to be involved. So I want a kind of basically you roll against each other. I like this concept, but I also don't. There's excuse me. There's a I like it more than I don't like it, because I believe okay, I got something in my throat. Hang on. Let's clear that out. Okay. I believe that if I'm a guy with a rifle and I'm shooting at a unit of guys, and they should not have a variable chance for me to defeat their variable defense. They should have a defense, and I should break that defense. But why can't the defense be a variable number? Why can't it be? And part of that is you're playing on a flat table. But maybe that unit is behind a bush. Maybe there's a slight roll in the hill and you can't see all their units and you're shooting overhead, or maybe you hit some guys, but maybe they're tough. Maybe you hit the sergeant. Maybe you don't affect them. So I think a variable roll on the defense part does work to kind of take those considerations into consideration. And part of that is the reason why I think I want to incorporate it is not because of that. Because if it was a solo game, you don't need that. You could just say, okay, he's standing in the open, you got to roll a 7, or he's in the trees, you got to roll an 8, or he's behind a hedge, you got to roll 7 or 8 or 10 or whatever it is, right? You could do that, but I think I would rather say, okay, he's always going to roll a die, and you will always have to beat his die. You get modifiers for being point blank, being expert rifleman, or being, this or that. You get pluses to shoot. And then I think I might give the defender, okay, he's behind a hedge, so he gets a +1 on his die roll. Or he's behind a wall, maybe he gets +2. Or he's in a building, maybe it's +2 or something, right? Or, like Napoleon's Battles did it, the defender never modified his die roll. It was always a target number. And the offender, the shooter, would get pluses or minuses. So, like you're shooting at a wall, that's -2. Or you're shooting behind a hedge, -1. I might do that just to make it easier on the defender. But the reason why, I'm beating around the bush. The reason why you have both players roll, it keeps both players engaged in the battle. So I've been to games, and you've probably been there too. Various games of various things where, okay, I'm done moving. I don't have anybody to shoot, so I'm just going to go off to the snack bar and grab a sandwich, and I'll be back. Just let me know what happens when I get back. No. No. You can't just get up and walk away, you know? And by forcing the defender to roll dice in when you shoot at them, basically you're punishing him psychologically by making him roll to see if he can live. Or basically he's forcing your roll. So yeah, it's a psychological thing. And it also keeps him at the table, you know, and he gets to see, and he feels like he's participating in that action, even though he's just the defender. In Melee, this is done by 90% of most games. In a Melee, they do allow both sides to roll dice because both sides are fighting. Like if you get close, I'm going to swing my sword. If I get close, I'm going to swing my sword. So we both should roll. And that's like a given, right? But in shooting, it should also be a given. So I plan to do that. I plan to base by battalion. And the brigades can still form formations like column or line or attack column or what have you. Just understand that the individual battalion commander is doing what he thinks is the best course of action. And so that's what the die roll when you attack, or that's when you shoot. That's the die roll. The die roll is artificially including his decision. So if the battalion commander decided it was best to shoot as a column, or he's not smart enough to deploy into line fast enough, when you roll that die and you roll a 1, maybe that's what that means. Or maybe you got a battalion commander that formed a line, deployed skirmishers, has everybody hold their fire until they see the whites of the eyes or whatever, and you roll a 10, maybe that's what that means. That means the battalion commander knows what he's doing. So that die roll is not just I shoot accurately, but I would assume it also means your battalion commander made some good decisions. And I don't want you as a corps commander making those decisions for your battalions. Okay, so that's the way that's going to work. Movement and command and movement. I'm not sure how I want to do this. I'm not sure about anything really, to be honest. This is the initial step. I've only been thinking about this for the last couple of days. But the first step, well, I'm going to have to deal with, okay, command and control. How do I issue orders? Why do I have command figures on the table? You know, do they have an aura? Do they have to be given orders? Do they roll dice to activate units? That kind of stuff. I need to figure out all of that. I like the activation thing, but I also like the rule. I think it's in Land of the Free, actually, where you roll a die, and that's how many units get to move. It also, I think, is in Battle Group. I think Battle Group has a lot of similarities, I've noticed, to Land of the Free. So I'm going to have to check. I think that's true. Like you roll a die, boom, or 2 dice, or whatever the roll is, to see how many of your units you get to move. And you don't always get to move all your units. Sometimes you only get to move 1 or 2 units, and sometimes you get to move 7 or whatever. And I like that variable, but it simplifies it. Where, like in Black Powder, and I keep going back to Black Powder because that's my currently probably one of my favorite games. Black Powder, but see, Black Powder is too. You're playing the battalion, even though you. Okay, so you roll, like you say, I want this battalion to move from here to there. You roll some dice. You either succeed or fail, right? So you're rolling for every single battalion on the table. And if you've got a corps, we'll just stop at 1 corps, and which I'm going to say just 3 divisions, just rounding it out. 3 divisions. Each division has probably 2 brigades or more. And each of these brigades... Okay, hold on. Okay, so that's how many brigades are on the table. And then in each of these brigades, you're looking at like 4 battalions. So that's 24 units, right? 6 times 4. So you're looking at 24 battalions on the table, and you got to roll 24 times. Yes, I understand you can move some groups together as groups, but that usually never happens. So you're rolling 24 times, 20 plus times, let's just say, if there's only 1 corps on this table. And you either succeed or you fail, and then you move, then you roll, and you move, or you roll and you move. That just takes way too much time and effort when I could have just rolled a die. This is how many units get to move. The advantage of rolling a die is you get to know ahead of time how many succeeded and how many failed. Maybe that's not good. The advantage of rolling for every unit is you don't know how many have succeeded. And also, if you roll and you fail a roll, you immediately stop issuing orders for that brigade. So, plus their commanders give you re-rolls. And so you almost always make the rolls. It's very rarely, I mean, sometimes you'll fail a roll and skip a brigade, but why don't I just make it? Now, understand, I'm not playing just 1 corps on the table. My mindset is Waterloo, right? Even though I want these sets of rules, I want this set of rules that I write to be playable by a corps against a corps. That's the core of the game, is going to be a corps against a corps. But I want it to be scalable, where if I want to play a division, I can do it. If I want to play an army, I can do it. So but my focus, my aim is towards like Waterloo. If I used Black Powder, and this is what the new Epic set is all about. If I was to play Black Powder and play all of Waterloo, the entire battle, and I was the allied player, I'd have to make something like 100 activation rolls. You know, and the French would have to make somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 activation rolls. Just those rolls alone is going to take an hour. You know, so Black Powder, you just can't do it at that scale, right? And that's okay, so I'll have to figure out the way I'm going to do command. I'm thinking either divisions. I'm probably gonna roll for divisions, how many, and they're gonna roll, and how many, whatever they roll is how many units from their brigades get to move. Because, like, let's say a French division, he's only got 8 brigades, or he's got 2 brigades, but like 8 battalions, maybe 10, but somewhere in there, 8, you know. And as a division, you roll, that's how many you get to move. Or I could break it down and say the brigade rolls, but then I would have to make the dice roll a lot smaller, like maybe a d6 instead of a d10, or 2d6 instead of 1d10 or something. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But with a 2d6 roll, you're almost always moving about 7 units. With a d10 roll, the swing is way bigger, either 1 or 10. I think I want to do like a 2d6 roll, because then there's, or a 2d10 roll maybe even, or something, and then have the division commander have a modifier based on his quality of how many units get to move, like a +1 or a +2. So if he's got like a +3, like he's DeVoe or something, like he's a really good division commander, then he'll almost always get to move all of his battalions, which I think is pretty good. And then if he rolls something like Snake Eyes with the +3, he's still getting to move half his units. But then there's also going to be these poor division commanders that give minuses. So, and then maybe you don't get to move anybody ever, because you just suck. That's actually a really good question. I think when I write them, I'm going to write them so that I can understand them. Which means it's going to be for an idiot. No, when I write these rules, I plan to make it all inclusive. I want it to have 2 chapters, basically. Basic rules and then advanced rules. No, I'm not. I probably will not do advanced rules. I'm just going to do the rules. And optional rules? No. There's never any optional rules. You either have the rules or you don't have the rules. So I'm going to... Now, I understand, like, there's going to be things like pontoon bridges or setting fires to buildings and stuff like that. Those will be in there, but they'll be like, maybe I'll put it in a section called less used rules, like rules that might not be in this particular battle. Like if you're in a big open field, you're never going to set a building on flames. And if you're not fighting over a river, you're not setting up a pontoon bridge, or, you know, so I don't know. But yeah, I plan to make it easily digestible by people that are new to the hobby. Absolutely. I'm very conscious of that. I want it to be, and this is another part of it, I want it to be a set of rules that I can take to a convention, have a bunch of people sit around the table, and I tell them, like in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, this is how you play the game. And then we start playing the game. So I want it to be so absorbable, or I want all the concepts to be so similar to each other that once you get the one concept or the 2 concept, like, oh, that's okay. That's the core set of rules will be just like, this is how it's played. But then there's going to be some nuances, like maybe this unit does this, maybe that unit does that. And that might be something that you don't introduce at a convention. But I want it to be a conventionable game where people can sit with people they've never met, tell them how to play the game, and play a game where one side doesn't feel like they're being taken over by a bunch of advanced players. That's in the back of my mind. I want it to be easily understood, enjoyable. That's but I also don't want to sacrifice realism. I don't want to sacrifice realism just to make it easy. I don't want to do that. So that's part of my mind, part of my mental process. But that was a really good question. Thank you. Okay, so command and control and movement. Now, how do we move? I got to worry about that. Like, do they move this many inches or this many inches? Is it a yard thing or is it just an inch thing? You know, and do I get multiple moves? Some games, Land of the Free, Black Powder, you have multiple actions you can perform per turn. So let's say, I'm going to use Land of the Free as an example. I have the Green Mountain Boys getting ready to take on the British, right? And they're on their side of the creek or whatever. They get 4 actions, but only if they're activated. So they take the division commander, let's say Arnold. He rolls a die. He gets to activate a number of units. He picks the Green Mountain Boys. All right, Green Mountain Boys, I need you to go cross that river. Okay, so here's the issue. They get 4 actions. They use one of their actions to move up to the river. They use another action to cross the river. Okay, so now they're on the other side of the river. And they're also disordered now. So they have to use their next action. Actually, they don't. Wait, they do or they don't? I think they have to use their next action to remove the disordered. So now they've got 1 action left. They can move, right? They could shoot or whatever. And that kind of gives you a lot of actions for 1 unit. And I kind of like that in a way. I really do. But I don't understand why I couldn't just say, right? You get 12 inches of movement. 3 inches gets you up to the river. Another 3 gets you on the other side of the river. It costs 3 inches of movement to remove a disorder. Now you still have 3 inches of movement. The problem with that is they could move 3 inches and then shoot. I could say it costs 3 inches of movement just to shoot, but I don't want to do that. I kind of like you get so many actions. Each action can be used for movement. So if you're in a big open field, he can move 3, 3, 3, and 3. He can move all the way. But because he had to cross that river, it gave him a disorder, and it was difficult terrain, and then he had to reorganize. Another action in Land of the Free is reload. Because when you shoot, you can't shoot again until you reload. If you were just standing there loaded, you could shoot, reload, so you could technically shoot twice. I like that too. You know, I don't know. I like the move and shoot concept. I like the actions can be used for movement or shooting or reloading or reorganizing. I kind of like the action options. I love that actually. I love the only a certain number of units can be activated. And then I have to figure out, but now remember at Waterloo, am I going to want to deal with actions for 100 different units on the table? You know, if I've got all these battalions in all these brigades and I go down the line, do I want to go, okay, I've moved him And now I'm going to reload him, and then I'm going to push forward, and we're going to fire, and I have to reorganize. Do I want to really worry about that per battalion? I don't think so. I love it in a small scale, American War of Independence game. I think that's great. But in a Waterloo game, I think the reloading needs to be handled at the battalion level. And when I do that, takes that out of the player's hands. The player doesn't need to worry about if they're reloading or not. Come on. Come on. We don't need that. So I think I'm just going to go with a move and shoot concept in maybe a move twice, or a move and shoot, move twice, or a charge. Move twice. You can charge if you can move twice into contact, or you can move and shoot, or you can, if they're close enough, you can shoot and move into contact. I think I will do something like that. I'm not sure. Not sure. So how is combat going to work? I don't know, but it's going to be an opposed die roll. Command and control is probably going to be a dice to see how many units move, how far you move. Another thing, wheeling. Okay, this is something I thought about. And we're going to get into more of this as I hash out these rules. I don't want to spend I've already been on an hour and 20 minutes. I don't want to spend this entire time focusing on this, because I got a lot of other things I got to do today. But wheeling, I have thought about this. There's not going to be any wheeling. Or let me rephrase that. There's not going to be... I'm not going to be anal about it. I've already... in some games, Napoleon's Battles, I'm looking at you, you've got these templates that you have to lay on the table for your brigade, and then you count out little pips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you were to just measure the pips, they're all exactly 1/2 inch. So why have a wheeling template where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I'm done. Oh my God. Why couldn't I just measure 3.5 inches and move? That's what I plan to do. These guys might not be dry, but we're going to use them as an example. If I've got a base, right? Remember, this is just one giant base with a bunch of figures on it. If I have let's just use one base. Okay, let's say that's my battalion base. All I got to do... Oh, where'd my ruler go? I lost my ruler. It's actually over there on the table, but I'm just going to measure from this corner, right? If I'm wheeling this way and attacking this way, just measure. It doesn't matter. You can measure it straight. I don't care how you measure it. Let's say that's how far you can move. Yeah, you want to wheel that way? You want to wheel even more? I don't care. You want to go this way? Just measure from the farthest guy. And you just measure and go. You don't need to be anal about it. You don't need to have a bunch of different templates or whatever, for wheeling or echelon or whatever. Echeloning, that's something that as you move forward facing the same direction, you drift, right? And in Napoleon's Battles, you can only drift 45 degrees, right? Facing the same direction. Because if you wanted to turn, you would have to wheel. And wheeling in that game is basically half move, basically. Because remember, they're 1/2 inch pips. So why didn't they just say you can wheel at full speed or you can turn at half speed? I don't know. Meg when they do an echelon, it's one base width. So this guy would move forward, right? But he can only echelon as far over as his second half of his base. And then of course this guy would just come up like that. Because it's not a 45, it's only one base width, which, depending on the movement of your unit, I think that might be good. Napoleonics, I think 45 seems reasonable. But I don't see why I can't just measure from the outside edge. Okay, if I had one base, I don't see why I can't just measure from the outside edge and just measure it. If I want to slightly turn as part of a wheel, I don't see why I can't do that. Or just wheel and go up to there like that. I mean, I'm not trying to. And remember, as a corps commander, you shouldn't be dealing with wheeling battalions. You know, that's the battalion commander's job. You don't do that. And by him rolling an activation and successfully moving, you should be able to just move him. So, but I'll get into all that when I start writing the rules. I'm putting it all up here. I'm not putting it on paper until I get a good concept of how I want to do it. I'm going to take notes. I'm probably going to make a QRS before I actually write the rules. So, because I'll know all the rules in my head. So I'll probably do like a quick reference table. So I'll know all the modifiers and I'll know all the movement and the dice rolls. But I definitely want every table, every modifier, every chart for movement, for melee, for shooting, for command and control. I want it for terrain modifiers. I want everything to fit on one sheet, the front side, not even double-sided. I want it all to be on the front. So, and if I could put it all on a 3x5 card, that would be great. That way you're laying it on the table and you've got all your modifiers. Or you hang it off the edge of a table and then you've got all the modifiers. And you just flip it up. Oh yeah, I get a +10. Okay, great. Roll. Yeah, so we'll see about that. Okay, guys, well, we've been on for an hour and a half now and ranted for the last hour probably. I got my buildings outside. They're primed. I'm sure the primer's dried by now because when I went out for the mail, it seemed like it was already pretty much dry anyway. So now what I'm going to do is, you know what? I'm probably not going to assemble them until tonight. What I'll do is I will film assembling these and upload them as a video because I did a bunch of Sarissa building videos in my early days. I think I might go back to that and do some more Sarissa building videos. So I'll build those on camera. You'll get to see them. They'll just be uploaded separately. I'm going to go ahead and base these, flock them and everything. And then I'm going to get started on the, I think I'm going to do the NKVDs first. This commission, he wants winter and summer troops. So I think I'm going to prime them and then get to painting those. I think that's what I'm going to do. That's going to be my next project as part of my commissions. Yeah. All right. Well, welcome for joining me. And thank you. If you've never been here to this Wednesday stream, we try to stream every Wednesday starting at about 11 a.m. Central Time, going on till about 1. In this case, it's 1:30. So you got some bonus content. Yeah. And I will see you probably in my next update. Oh, before I leave, just as a little bonus. I discovered a game. It's in early development, but you can go to Steam, or I'm not sure where else, but I went to Steam and downloaded their demo. It has like 5 missions you can play in the demo, and it's called The Troop. If you haven't downloaded it and played it, you should. A game lasts for maybe, well, it's turn-based, so it can last as long as you want it to last. But it's World War II. You're moving squads around, or little fire teams. 3 to 4 guys in a group. It's hex based. You got a tank. You got half tracks or whatever. You're moving them around, and it was pretty fun. And when the tanks fire, or when you spot a tank or you look at a tank, the tank comes up that you're looking at, and they did a really good job modeling. Well, I've only seen like the Sherman and the Stug. I haven't played the Panthers game. There's a scenario where there's Panthers involved, but it looks like the tanks are modeled pretty good. If you're into computer games, which I assume you are, definitely check that game out. It's free right now. It's in early development, and there's a couple of people online that are playing it and demoing it. Check their YouTube out or whatever. Just Google it, you'll find them, or YouTube it.